I find a lot of people do a lot of intellectual shit. They're like top-down stuff like NLP, hypnotherapy.
When the body's able to relax because it keeps the score, naturally the face is going to look different. The movement for achievement is a trauma response attached to what will people think of me when I do this versus how am I going to impact people because of this. Everyone that walks through my door has their individual blueprint of what life has done. You know, we all have a story.
It's kind of like you are an emotional channel for people. Like you're kind of a conduit for people to release, suppress, integrate.
My fight is the beauty industry is full of shit. We're an industry built on trying to make women feel better, but we're keeping them in this loop of feeling like crap. I've lost how many years of infertility treatment that really sent me into a complete spiral.
Welcome back to the Inspired Life podcast, where I get to interview and connect and learn from very inspiring people. And our guest today is nothing short of that. We have Jonie Hodson Ilas, an integrative facialist, educator, and industry disruptor, redefining facial work beyond aesthetics, blending advanced touch, nervous system regulation, and embodied leadership to create practitioners who don't just perform treatments, but hold powerful, transformative spaces. Jonie, welcome to the show. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, good. That was inspiring.
Thank you. I'm
I
inspired.
think I wrote that, but...
Well, actually, I was going to start with this for you. Given that you're in the aesthetics industry, I know you go beyond that, but like that's probably like outwards looking in, what people would say. I was curious, without kind of the personas or labels or introduction of who you are, who is Jonie?
Whew. How long you got?
I think we said 90 minutes, so you can take as many minutes as you want.
Look, at the end of the day, she's just another person, human, woman, trying to navigate this messiness called life.
Yeah.
And I'm channeling what I'm here to do through this integrative holistic work.
Fantastic. And how do you describe the work that you do for others? Because I would assume people, even if they see it, they don't really understand the depth of work that you do, because there's the kind of like, not surface level, but you could use that term, but it's like people's interpretation versus the actual integration work that you do, for me, looks phenomenal and looks very life-changing. So how do you describe the work that you actually do for others?
On the surface level, people book for like a facelift facial, because if I called it, an exorcism, they wouldn't come. So, but fundamentally, the work I do is very bespoke in regards to tuning into what that particular client needs. And that's why I love working, with the nervous system, with breath, with fascia. Everyone that walks through my door, has their individual blueprint of what life has done. We all have a story. And for me, it starts with holding space. It starts with just, people just want to feel seen and validated and held. And then the rest of the work is really very much intuitive. And this is why I do work with facialists that are, more on the empath, intuitive side that can really tune into touch. But working with fascia is just such an incredible, still being widely researched, but our connective tissue that is able to hold memory and respond to the nervous system. And we're able to just simply by even consulting with my clients and, making them, like I said, making them feel seen, making them feel heard, getting them to relax. The tissue is responding when you do that. So by the time they're on the bed with a little bit of breath work, they're like so much more receptive. So yeah, the work is very much energy based. But this is the thing. This is why, I've called myself the facelift facialist, because if I call myself the whatever I just said then, everyone would be very confused. So working in the aesthetic world, you have to appeal to ultimately what people want to achieve. But then when they're in the room, they get to experience it on the fullness of what it actually is.
It's I resonate deeply with that. It's like the market what they want, but give them what they need. And I'm not sure about you, but when people ask me, like when I jump on a podcast, it's like, what do you do for people? It's like, I struggle to answer it every time. It's a different answer every time. It's like, but then you get the results and the testimonials, and you have a breakthrough with someone. It's like, how do I communicate this? How do I actually tell people the depth of the work that I've done? And from a business perspective, I think I'm fucking shit at it. I think I've got a lot of work to do, but you solid answers and when you
Like, you're not trying to blow smoke, you just like, look, at the end of the day, everything, what I do with everyone is different because everyone's face is different because everyone's fascia is telling a different story. So, but, as the facelift facialist, I guess that's the marketing side of it. Everyone wants, to have a natural facelift, especially as a woman, because we've been told that, looking otherwise is not acceptable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm curious for you, what are the core experiences that you've gone through in your life, whether good, bad, painful, ugly, that have shaped you into who you are today, that someone listening would have to understand the perspectives and the beliefs that you have today?
First of all, I would start off by saying that for as long as I can remember, I've always been a really sensitive, intuitive human. I did grow up in a divorce family as well. So I was in the dynamic where I guess I was responsible or felt responsible for my parents' emotions on some level, which made me maybe hyper aware before I was ready to be or needed to be or should have been. Anyway, it's not to turn this into a therapy session. But, and then fast forwarding to, I guess, my more formative years, my mum was really unwell. She had bowel cancer and went through a lot. And my sister was only little. So I grew up, I guess, a lot quicker than most and was responsible for a lot more things emotionally and, mentally. But yeah, I think I changed schools a lot. I went through a lot of bullying as a child. I was always very tiny, which is funny. I get a lot of DMs from people asking how tall I am, which is so random. But I
Really?
think I get off like big vibes on the internet. And then people always meet me in person. They're like, oh, you're like snack size.
Uh,
I'm actually not that short. I'm like average height for a female, I think, so 165 centimeters.
yeah.
Anyway, um, but yeah, in school I was bullied a lot. So I think, and this is a question I get asked a lot actually on other podcast interviews, is about resilience. And I think resilience is in the moments that make you and the meaning you choose to give it. And I think I've just developed a lot of resilience because I've had a lot of moments.
If you're okay, zoom in on any of those. What's one of those core moments? Because I believe you become who you needed when you're at your lowest, and you also are most qualified to help the person that you used to be. All the pain and challenges and problems you went through. I got a lot of alignment with you, being quite sensitive. I was a very emotional child. I cried a lot. I felt unsafe. I was very hyper vigilant. But then
Yeah.
that makes you, well, for me, anyways, on my behalf, it makes you very sensitive to other people's emotions. So you can connect with them really well. You can, like, if someone's off, I'm going to assume you can tell. You can, like, feel it. It's like that spidey sense. You can,
Oh
it's
yeah,
weird, right?
it can be frustrating because you're like, I wish I could switch this off because sometimes it's hard to discern between your own emotions and the emotions of others. And I find, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I can be intolerant outside of my workspace because I'm holding a space where I'm tuning in intentionally to people's emotions and I'm feeling into what's going on for them. And then when I go home and my husband wants to download, I'm like, don't talk to me. Or I'm just a little bit more closed off, or everyday people interaction is frustrating.
Yeah.
So it's finding that balance. But to answer your question, I can't really think of a real defining moment. I think learning the resilience of just keep going when you're younger, it doesn't matter how many moments there are, you just get really good at giving the meaning. Like I've always said that we're not given anything we can't handle.
Love, love.
Yeah, it's all a part of, we've signed up. I really subscribe to, we signed up for this experience. We chose our parents. I share this with my husband sometimes and he's like, okay, sure. And he's definitely the person I need in my life because he keeps me really anchored in this world. Whereas, as an Aquarian and a neurospicy and all the things, I can be like, la, 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 la. I want to go back to my alien planet that I think I came from.
Love it. Love it.
But yeah, I truly, when things get really, really tough, I just come back to I kind of asked for this, like I signed up for this. It's like going on a roller coaster and then going, I don't want to go, and it's like, but you got on,
Yeah.
or going for a tattoo and then going, is this going to hurt? It's like you asked for it,
Yeah.
So on that level. But I've also experienced a lot of death, like people dying, and I think my connection or understanding of mortality is quite like there. So, and I've lost friends like really instantly, like, through whatever situation and family suicides. And so I just know that one day we're gonna die. So I just don't spend too much time in whatever's going on. I just process it. I don't bypass it. I don't, go, oh, I don't want the universe to hear me being sad about it. Like I definitely process.
Yeah.
But at the same time I go, all right, well, plot twist.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna die one day. It's this exact same approach I take to dealing with trolls or dealing with negative feedback or dealing with showing up online. Just go like, fuck it, we're gonna die one day.
Okay. You mentioned something before we started recording, and you just kind of edged around it just then. For me, it sounds like for you, what you were saying, like with your professional life, it's kind of like you are an emotional channel for people. Like you're kind of a conduit for people to release, suppress, integrate, and it can be quite emotionally taxing. And I can relate from my work as well. Like if I do too many one-on-ones, I like want to like not talk to anyone for a week. It's like leave me alone, let me process my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm curious for you boundaries in terms of I worked with a Reiki healer. I'm excited to get into your work because I love transformations, like my favorite topic. So we'll get there soon. But something I got from a Reiki teacher, because I'd done a lot of mental work, Tony Robbins, NLP, DeMartini, a lot of mental stuff.
I
But I was
love
like,
yeah.
DeMartini, he's my favorite mentor I've ever worked with. But we won't. Yeah,
Love
I'll try to do an episode where I don't mention his name. That'll be a challenge.
Okay, yeah.
I'd done a lot of that work, but I hadn't done the sort of spiritual stuff. I was aware of like ayahuasca and ceremony stuff and crystal healing. Like I wear crystals to this day.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try it because I like to experience it firsthand, see what it's like, have the experience. And then if I really love it, like, oh my God, this is life changing. And it's like my style, I'll often get trained in it and I'll add it to the toolkit and then continue
Same.
down
Yeah.
that path. So I see a lot of alignment with me.
And leave out and then go, yeah, I'm going to train in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
I did breath work with Chris and Jonie, which I'm pretty sure you went through as well.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I'll finish on my question.
Best thing I ever did. Yeah.
My question, where was I going with that? My question.
Boundaries. That's okay. Got you.
Yeah. This is ADHD just scattering.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be like this.
The energy hygiene, that was what I was trying to get to. So I got that from my Reiki teacher. She's like, what's your energy hygiene routine? I'm like, oh, never heard of that term till right now. So what do you do on a consistent basis to nurture, nourish, recharge, fill up your own cup, energetically speaking, whether it's a meditation practice, just saying no to people. Like I had a friend of mine literally this morning, hey bro, are you free on Sunday? And I was free, but I don't want to go do a thing. And he's super autistic with me. He said, hey, do you want to come to this? I said, no, I don't want to come. I didn't have to give him an explanation. Didn't have to. I just said, no, I don't want to come. I can't be fucked. So what do you do for boundaries? Let's zoom into that.
Yeah, firstly, I love that. I think boundaries are so much easier to uphold when you have the right people. Like when your friends just know, like, for example, Shani, like we share a brain, so I don't even have to explain things. It just lands. So that makes boundaries a lot easier. Energetically, I think I understood the concept of boundaries when I was around 35, and I went hard like creating boundaries, but I wasn't the version of the person that believed I was worthy of actually having them. So I used to think people who had boundaries were like just standoffish or whatever. I didn't really understand what they were. And I think a lot of people don't. It's this word that lives outside of themselves. And it's really, I said to my husband at the start of this year, I feel like people are going to get the less accommodating version of me this year because I really feel as though I've taken a seat inside myself. Especially this month of January, I've been stretched and tested on levels that, one would probably be in a full year. And I've just felt really seated. And I believe that's because I've become really familiar with the part of me that was fearful of upsetting others. As much as I liked to believe I wasn't a people pleaser, I was when it came to those who I'd opened up to and trusted. So from an energy perspective, I'm a slow burn. I don't open up to people like on a vulnerable level very quickly. People who meet me straight away like, oh, she's so much fun, and like they want to be around my energy, but that's not me opening up. That's me giving the version of me that's, fun and connective and able to tune in. But from a friendship level and vulnerability level, it takes me a while to open up. And when I do, I then have noticed that there was a version of me that would accommodate those relationships because I was fearful of the trust level I'd given. And something has shifted, I'm not sure, but the new boundary is, well, the boundary that I believed was there, but the embodiment piece is, if they're meant to be, they will, be. And just to allow things to be more fluid and be mindful of where I was accommodating and subordinating myself in this, this way. So yeah, there's certain friendships that will come and go, or certain connections that will come and go when you do take this level of seat in yourself.
Yeah. I don't know who said it, but it was along the lines of like some of the best friends are the ones that you don't have to stay in contact with, you don't have to keep talking to them, but when you connect with them, it's like you feel alive.
Yeah.
You don't have to like they just kind of like flourish in their own ways. And the other ones that actually, well, I say both those types of relationships are people who can just unapologetically understand when it's like no's a no. So, hey, you want to come over? No, I don't.
Yeah. Well, because we're all human with human shit going on and stories and tabs. And, I always say, like, new minute, new me. Like, don't hold me to what I said like an hour ago. I don't know. Like, my husband asked me at the start, any thoughts on dinner? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm eating for breakfast. Like, if I don't food prep and it's not there, then I don't know, feed me. I don't care. But yeah, so he's saying like new minute, new me, and that's not for everyone. I get that. Some people need people that are, more committed, more planned. But I definitely know for me, I need friendships with the least amount of responsibility that I can pick up where I left off and that we can just vibe. And my closest friends and people in my life. And I believe we don't need more than 5 of those as well.
Solid. It ties into a theme. I wrote down a theme for like some of my guests, and the theme I came for you was authentic or authenticity. It was like a big theme of like how you do your work, how you treat your clients. Everything you're saying so far would fall into that theme. I got a question for you. Is there's the version of what we people think we are. It's like their perception of us versus like how we actually see ourselves. I'm curious, what is the misperception that you may think people, they see you online, they see your content, maybe they see you in person? You kind of answered it before, but I'd love a little bit more depth here if you can. What is the misperception between how most people would perceive you versus who you authentically are as well?
Um, I would say most people would mistake me as super outgoing and uber confident, which parts of me are. But as a human being, there's all these different parts. And the bigger parts of me are actually a lot more introverted and self critical. So,
How are you working through that? And if you're able to be a bit vulnerable, what's the critical part of you? Or I had a question for later. It's like, what's your current edge, your current growth, your current part of you that you're learning to love or integrate? What are you currently working through?
currently working through my word for the year is trust. So just trust in timing, trust in whatever's meant for me. I would say I'm in an expansion phase and learning to hold space for my business, but also my family, and learning that my success in business is not connected to my success in my family or in my life in general. And since I think that's what's allowed me to take a seat, to be honest, because yeah, I've had things happen the start of this year that's put a lot of things into perspective. And as a result, funny enough, since I've sat with it and just held this space for it, my business has completely expanded again, which is calling me to a different level. But I think the stretch is just, yeah, holding space on a totally different level of awareness. And what I always circle back to is, it's all right. It's just a game. We're just having fun. Just do it with integrity. Because we're all going to die one day. I know that sounds really morbid, but that's what I come back to. Like, if I get too in my head about it, I'm like, don't worry about it.
I like if when in doubt, zoom out. It's like
Yeah,
anything's stressing you. You zoom
live.
out far enough, you can't even see the fucking Earth. You
You
can't even see the
just live.
galaxy. It's like we are just
Yeah,
a grain of sand on a beach, right?
yeah. I think too, like going back to DeMartini's work, which I know, the one thing I learned from him is we've all got something of value, and understanding that I may not be the most knowledgeable in my field, but the knowledge I do have will land in a way for someone who needs to hear it. So for me to withhold that is not living into my value.
Yes.
So when I get into the whole, what if I don't know enough? Or what if I don't say it the right way? Or what if I'm not, sciencey enough? I just go, blah, blah, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just, whatever's meant to flow through me is the whole reason I'm here.
If you're enjoying the episode, it would honestly mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment down below. It honestly helps more than you realize. It shares it to more people, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests get. So thank you so much. You are very much part of this journey of this channel to bring this message to the world. With that being said, let's get back to the conversation. We haven't even gotten to your work yet, so let's at least touch on that. Because I love people. It's like, yes, we've got the business. I want to hear about your work and how you use your work and what people can get from that work. But I love understanding, because it's kind of like I said before, you become who you needed when you're at your lowest, and you're most qualified to help who you used to be. And you can see those, like, the breadcrumbs. So you can
Yeah.
see, oh, this is why Joanie does the work that she does. She went through her pain around this. She had her challenges around this, and she tried all these things. And you can see how all those sort of pieces of the puzzles link together. I'm curious, why do people come to you? So, and it might be, and you could even give me like the reason they think, like the marketing versus the root cause answer if you want to as well. So,
Yeah.
what do people maybe come to you, and maybe what's the root cause underneath why they're coming to you?
Yep. So, without sounding arrogant, a lot of people who come to me have no idea why they come to me. It's just because they've been told to. So my business now is so built on referral,
Well done.
based on reviews, that I'm booked out months in advance and they'll book it so far in advance, and then I'll get them in the treatment room. And the first question I ask is, what drew you to, like, how did you find me? And what drew you to booking with me? And they'll usually say, oh, my friend told me to, she just said you have to come, or they've seen me online and they just resonate with my energy and they just book, but they
Awesome.
generally have no idea what they're booking for. So if we're to zoom back before it was like that, initially I was speaking to a more aesthetic crowd because I wanted people to come in and experience what my hands can do for them. It's energy, it's breath, it's a space where, yeah, it's like a day spa for your face, but on a soul level.
Love. That's well put. That landed. That's cool. Keep going.
Yeah. A lot of the time, especially working with fascia, there's a lot of emotional release. And this is why women leave looking lifted. So, yeah, they're coming for a lifted face, but it's because their soul is lifted. When the body's able to relax because it keeps the score, naturally the face is going to look different.
You just said what the body keeps the score. I've literally got the book behind me. So,
One of my favorites.
for me, I'm, as I mentioned, I like to try like different techniques and modalities. I did a kahuna massage 2 years ago. Phenomenal. Are you familiar with it? Do you understand what it is?
Is it Hawaiian?
Hawaiian massage. And
Yeah.
it's, for me, the way someone who asked me what it is, I feel like it's an emotional massage.
Yeah,
Like, it's
energy
like,
with waves. Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. So they have like crystals, they've got tarot cards, like they're breathing with you. And that kind of is like,
Yeah.
based on what I'm kind of feeling with you, is that you're kind of doing that, but sort of concentrated for the face? But I'm assuming there may be like linked parts and all that stuff. Good. Yeah, I'm trying to really let the listeners understand
Yeah.
what is it that you're doing for a client. So what are you doing during a session? Is there, you said channeling, you mentioned that at the start of the podcast. Are you channeling things? Is it intuitive? Or are you seeing signs? Hey, there's a bit of tightness here. That's coming from stress. That's coming from daddy issues. That's coming from whatever.
Yeah.
If you could like jump into mid session, what's going on?
Look, initially in my work, I was channeling a lot, and then I found it really quite overwhelming. So I don't intentionally channel in my work. I'm not there to be a, energy healer, Reiki. I'm not there promoting that. So a lot of people will come and they'll be like, oh, if you channel anything, can you tell me? And I'll set the boundary around like I'm not opening myself up to that. I feel into what the tissue is telling me. So a space that I hold is an empathetic one. Consultation is key. In the first 5 minutes, if someone can, and this is, I guess, where I use my NLP and breath work, modeling someone's breath, all that stuff, to help them to start to down-regulate, because the goal is to get them into that rest and digest, where the fascia can actually exhale. Fascia being our connective tissue that stores the memory, that holds, the body keeps the score, and the fascia shapes what's going on. So everyone's presenting with a different, story. So once they're on the bed, if they already have that rapport and they're already relaxed, then we go into some breath work, just 5 minutes, which communicates directly to the nervous system, that you're safe, you can relax. And again, the fascia responds. So the more responsive the fascia is, the more I can work with the face. The massage is very intentional, working on the areas around the chest, the shoulders, the neck. It's my clients have described it then way better than a full body massage.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I do some body scanning when I'm working just to, recalibrate the energy. A lot of energy healing. I work with sound. Like, it is a complete experience. A lot of people will come into the lounge afterwards and just be like, I've never experienced anything like that before. And this is, I guess, now my mission in the industry, and why I'm shifting more into working in the mentoring space and helping work with other facialists to build this side of their practice. Because for me, if we can move the needle in the aesthetic industry to be less about topical and more about helping the body to be the solution, then, more spaces like this need to be held.
Yeah, that last sentence is so good. I believe, I think I got it from Joe Dispenza, but I think a lot of people kind of say the same thing. It's like, you don't heal anyone, you activate or guide the healing that's within someone. Peter Crone has a quote around, I can't give you access to anything you don't already have. It's like the healing, the body knows how to heal. We know how to be healthy. We know how to come back in the equilibrium, but we have these blocks that come up, and it's about like removing those blocks or guiding or facilitating someone to essentially waken up the healing intelligence, quantum field, call it what you want, to do that. Is that essentially what you're alluding to? You kind of touched on it just then. Is that like a part of the work? Is that part of your psychology?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm not out there saying I'm a healer, but what I will hand on heart say is, because of who I am as a person, I have the innate intuitive ability to hold a healing space. I'm able to really tune into that, and that's what I'm wanting to teach more of. And I always say this to my students: you are the lead nervous system.
Yeah, love.
You have to be leading the energy of the room from the minute you meet your clients and take them through and throughout. You need to model their breathing, you need to work with them. So that's, I think, as much as someone can't heal someone else, they definitely have the capacity to hold a healing space.
100%. This will tie into that a little bit deeper, maybe. I believe there's 5 bodies to heal through or to integrate or address in inner work: mental, emotional, physical, which is somatics, energetic, and spiritual. And I find, correct me if I'm wrong as well, in your experience, I find a lot of people do a lot of intellectual shit. They're like top-down stuff like NLP, hypnotherapy, like intellectual stuff. And for me, that can fuck up people even more. They get so intellectualized, overthink everything, they overanalyze everything, and it's like
Spicy.
yeah, no, yeah. And for people with autism, can like even amplify that
stadium
more.
In their head.
And it's a gift, but it's a curse as well. It's like I got a friend of mine. He came on the podcast. Dr. Daniel. He's osteo, and wizard, like absolute wizard. He's around gut health and high performance. He works with Chris and Jonie as well. You might know who I'm referring to. We played a game of tennis, and he's shared this publicly, so he's okay with me sharing it. But he had like a bit of a panic attack, and I could like see him getting so intellectual, like because he knows the thing, and then he's overthinking it, and then you think it's this, and then you make it worse, and it's just like this huge loop. But what I love about like the work that you're doing is the body and energy and frequency, you can't hide from it. Like people can hide up here. It's my wife does sound bowls at our workshops now, and I say to people, I said, who here gets in their head? That most people put their hand up, because your clients are a reflection of you, which I get in my head. So I said, well, guys, we're about to do a sound session, and guess what? You can't fucking hide from frequencies. So just let it come through you. Just breathe into it. Just tap, feel, whatever. So I'm just curious for you, how does your work, I don't want to say it's better than, it's a different angle, but how does it work alongside the mental work? Because again, the body will store it. It will keep that tension in the fascia. How does that show up with your work? I'll just throw it over to you like that.
Firstly, I will circle back to the whole heady stuff. I worked in the coaching space for years. So I think we touched on that before we started recording. I'm a certified NLP practitioner, life coach, blah, blah. And I went down that route predominantly because I needed it. And then because I am that type of personality. I was let fully in, and I'm like, well, now I need to work in this space. It just made sense. And then helping others. But there was a massive missing piece. And people I've found, they just ruminate and they'll just repeat cycles because the embodiment piece and the head and body don't work separately. In fact, it probably starts in the body and then ends up in the head, and that's where we attach story. And that's where, we end up trying to talk our way out of things or reframing things or changing the narrative, but it needs to change in the nervous system. Without an aware nervous system, without working on, what's going on there and expanding your capacity to hold differently, you can dress up the narrative as much as you want, but it's just going to continue showing up. So for me, that's where I stepped away from that more of that coaching space and more into the embodiment space. To give you some context around my work, I went through, and the reason I work in this space and probably are able to hold a really empathetic space for women, only work with women. That was one of my boundaries because that's the energy I know how to hold, and because I am one, and mainly because of my own trauma. So I went through, I've lost how many years of infertility treatment that really sent me into a complete spiral. I had an identity around who I was meant to be and not being able to achieve that, really, being a high achiever. So I've had to process a lot of that. But in the process of doing that, realizing how much women go through and how we're meant to just show up every single day with a smile on our face when inside we're dying because we're not able to be a version of ourselves that we think we're meant to be or really fundamentally crave to be. And it was from that experience that I really stepped into this work and started holding really deeply empathetic spaces. It activated something in me. So the work, to answer your question, is it brings people out of their head and into their bodies. It gives them permission to do that by spending an hour and a half with me. And I say that to my clients, I let them have 5-10 minutes at the start of talk therapy because I think that's important, especially for feeling the rapport energetically. They need to feel safe with me. So they need a little bit of time with their story, but I'm very good at making sure it doesn't turn into a therapy session. Validating, active listening, like someone genuinely just giving a fuck about your shit makes you feel good, makes it feel like, oh, okay, well, maybe going through it was worth it because someone cares, really just caring on that level and then holding a space. I always say to them, right, we're going to throw it all in the fuck it bucket now and we're going to come back home. And I just guide them back home to wherever they need to land that day. We're not trying to get rid of ancestral, trauma. It's just coming back home to where they need to be that day and bit by bit. And this is why my clients come back, because they have such a profound experience and shift. But all I'm really doing is giving them permission to come home. But that is it.
You mentioned the word embodiment and nervous system a couple of times. How does one improve it? And you can even speak on clients, your own behalf, or even, like you said, the people that you're training, because you said you're now stepping into it, which I absolutely love as well. Because I see so many one-dimensional people, and not right nor wrong, but it's like, for me, it's like if you're holding a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and it's like people miss a lot of the parts that you're adding to your work.
I've never heard that. I love that.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Well, I certainly stole it off someone else, so it's not a me thing.
What
But
if
it's
it's
like yes. Yes. Oh, so I lost my train of thought again. So
yes.
I
took it there.
how does one, whether it's a facialist listening to this, a client of yours, a friend of yours, a loved one of yours, just someone listening, where they're like, you know what, I don't really feel like I embody my work. I'm not embodying my relationship. I feel disassociated. I feel in my head, out of my body. My nervous system feels jacked as hell and dysregulated. How does one actually consciously work on that? Whether it's a habit or two, a couple of tips, obviously come work with you if they've got the opportunity to do so. What else can someone do to actually increase their capacity, if you want to use that term?
Yeah. Firstly, I feel like you just described my 20s.
Love it.
I have always, and I don't know whether this was through doing, all the Tony Robbins and DeMartini work, in my late 20s, but I've always come from whenever I've decided something, it's already happening. So I just see it as done.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like something you have on a t-shirt, or that coaches say, but for me, it's an embodiment piece. For me, it's a no-brainer. When I have fully, and for me, I don't do things unless it's a full body yes.
Yes.
I'm not talking like cleaning the house and stuff like that. I'm talking about big decisions.
Yeah.
And I've become really good at knowing the difference between, anxiety and being excited about something. Like if my brain's popping off with, marketing and like how I'm going to connect with people and knowing exactly how to speak to my ideal audience, I know it's a yes. But if I'm going into like, what if this doesn't happen? Then it's a no. But for me, either
I
way,
want to pause you because there's such a rabbit hole here, and then we can finish it off. Because I had a client ask me literally, I have it almost weekly now. It's how do you discern between those two? What you just said. So I call it intuition and a trauma response, or the ego. How do
yeah.
you actually do that? Because I could hear people asking the question, oh well, what do you mean? Like it's a full body yes versus it's like, is there like a trauma response and you've got some pattern playing out versus like this is my true self, authentic self, my soul's truth that's leading me towards that. How do you, because I see you as a really beautiful example of embodiment and someone who looks and feels very connected to herself, her path, her mission, her heart, her souls, her values. So how does one actually do what you just said, where it's a full yes, or if it's, you know what, ego, overthinking things, that's not me. How do you discern between the two?
Yeah, great question. I've become really good at it in probably the last 5 years. I would say prior to that, I was probably more stuck in the chasing movement for achievement.
Yes.
Um, and I think the movement for achievement is a trauma response attached to what will people think of me when I do this versus how am I going to impact people because of this? And I think that's the authentic mission piece versus the approval piece.
Yes.
Because sometimes the shit I have to do in order to fulfill the mission isn't always going to be approved of. you know? And that's the seat I was talking about. I've really taken a seat in, myself around those two pieces. And it's become really clear to me the people in my life who are still operating from the movement for achievement and attachment to how am I going to be received, or
Yes.
how am I going to be viewed versus what's the impact I'm going to be able to have? How many people am I going to be able to really serve?
Love it. I was hearing inspiration versus desperation. I use those terms a lot. So, am I inspired to do this because it's my mission, or is there some like fear of I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not loved, and I have to do this for attention and validation? So, just maybe discerning between those two sounded beautiful.
And
So, thank you for that.
both are a little bit healthy. I think we'll skate on that. Like it's healthy to worry a little bit or be concerned about what people think because that keeps you a little bit grounded. I mean, I remember when I said to my husband, I'm going to launch a podcast, he was like, oh God. you know,
Here we go.
my professional filter isn't there for some people, but for the people it matters for, I land. Yeah. So I think I know when I'm on something that is mission based because I'll be like creating nonstop. I'll go into this creating bubble and I'll do voiceovers, I'll do videos, I'll do like it's just on versus if I have to push, something.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, we're going embodiment and nervous system to keep that going. So, essentially, maybe step one is listen to that in that pull, that mission led, inspired actions, inspired thoughts. Obviously, there'll be moments where it's like, do what's required. Like, it's like, I don't like my emails very much, but it's like, do what's required when it's time to do that. So, there'll be step one. What would be some other tips for embodiment and nervous system?
I think, and the first thing I take my mentoring students through is like, what is the story you have about yourself? And most people can't answer it. They can tell you about others, or they can tell you about who they're not, but they really struggle to get into the nitty gritty of who they believe they are and what they believe they're worthy of receiving. And so, I think get really intimate with the parts of yourself that believe you can or believe you can't.
And what are some common stories for your clients that you've seen?
Mostly people are worried about other people, you know. And I had a mentor many moons ago when I did my speaker training with Andy Harrison, which didn't do a lot because I still can't speak properly.
I think you're great. I think the
No,
unfiltered you is
I can
awesome.
speak. I don't stay on track. That's not really my thing. I'm not a structure person. But anyway, one of the mentors, I can't remember her name, but she was so amazing. She said, if they're not coming to your funeral, don't worry about them. And that has stuck with me. It's stuck with my morbid theme of we're going to die.
Yeah.
But, and I think it's so true. It's so true. Like, if they're not going to be singing your exit song, if they're not someone you would pick up the phone and tell your deepest, vulnerabilities to, like, if they're not your five, then it doesn't matter. It may hurt because of your own shit, because of what you're making it mean. And that's the work. Like last year, I did a massive campaign to drive the growth of my community. And as a result, I pissed a lot of people off because I was polarizing. I picked a fight with my industry. It's just the quickest way to make people feel heard. Have a
What was the
voice.
fight? Can I
People.
know some more?
Say again.
What was the fight? What was the thing? Because I've got one of my questions towards the end is normally what do you stand for and what do you stand against? So that might.
I mean, fundamentally, my fight is the beauty industry is full of shit. We're, an industry built on trying to make women feel better, but we're keeping them in this loop of feeling like crap. So I just spoke to that. Yeah, not everyone loves what I have to say, which is great because the people who do, but as a result, there was a lot of trolling and a lot of online bullying, which was great for my algorithm. It helped the people who were meant to find me find me. But I kept coming to, when I was receiving all this hate and this pushback from these, keyboard warriors, I came back to, well, they're not coming to my funeral. They didn't get an invite. They didn't matter. Well, they just weren't my people.
If you've gotten this far into the conversation, it says a lot about you. It says that you care about your future and you want to be the best version of who you are. If you're wanting to grow, know your purpose, have direction, overcome any limitations that are holding you back in your personal life or your professional life, I have a free 7-day experience of my coaching and you actually get a private call with me as well. The link is down below. Click it. There is no obligation to stick around. You can cancel if it's not for you. Click the link, get started. First and best dress for the calls with me. Now let's get back to the conversation. What's some unfiltered advice for someone to action what you're saying? Like if you had pull up the phone, post the video, start the thing, cut the person off, whatever the thing is, what's some advice around that?
Just do the thing. Like I think it was Susan, I can't remember her name, like feel the fear and do it anyway. I know I'm coming out with a lot of these cliches, but obviously they've created a big part of who I am. Like, 100%. Yeah, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but that's growth. You can either stay, and it circles back to you can either stay doing the same thing and just regret your life, or you can try some stuff. You can fail forward.
And what you're not changing, you're choosing, right?
Yeah. And I think it helps. You've got to be around, environment is paramount. You've got to be around people who speak like this and who actually walk the talk and who are challenging themselves. Like the one thing I cannot do is be in a room full of people who talk about other people and just bitch and moan. And I'm just like, tune out, not interested. And it's probably a big reason I spend a lot of time by myself, because you do find that majority of people talk absolute shit. But, when I'm around people who are like, what are you excited by? Like, what are you working on at the moment? Or let's talk about aliens, or I don't know, anything. Dogs. I'll talk about dogs all day. Dogs are my favorite people.
What's your favorite breed?
I have 2 Chihuahuas and a British Bulldog, but I'm not breed biased. I sometimes have anxiety over the fact that I'm not going to live long enough to have all the dogs.
Wow. My wife, when there's a storm, she's like, what about the animals, the stray animals?
Dogs, I know.
Yeah. We've got 2 sausage dogs and a cat, just for context as well.
So, I've always wanted a cat, but I just feel like I've been told I have cat energy, but I don't really, and I get that. I'm on my terms, don't come to me.
Well, to mirror that back to you, I'm the same. So I've had Dexter's my OG sausage. I've had him for a while now. He's like eight this year, and then got with Georgia. Then we got the second dog, Alfie. I think he's like 2 or 3 now. Yeah. And then we got the cat. And I've been a dog person my whole life. But it's like, I say that, but my lifestyle is actually more cat. It's more cat. I'm more of a cat. So it's like, I work by myself. I like my own space. If people come near me, I'll literally tell you to piss off and I'll set a boundary. I'll come hang out with you when I feel like it. And I'm like, fuck, this is me. Like, I am a cat. So yeah, quite a funny little catch. Actually, I wanted to share a story, and I'd love to hear your tips on what I'm about to say, because it was about what you just mentioned about, it's like, you become you hang with, if people are gossiping essentially, and I share the story a fair bit. So I went and saw my family after COVID. Obviously, talk about COVID in itself, but COVID happened. Went and saw my family. Hadn't seen them since COVID. I'm a big mama's boy. Saw my mum, big cuddle, kiss, love you, how are you, all that stuff. I walk in to the home, to the right, there's a balcony. A lot of my family out there, cousins, siblings, all that stuff. And I go into the room because my nephew's there, and I'm a nerd, and he's a nerd, and he's like playing video games. So I just start playing video games with him. And my mum comes in, she's like, "Come see your family. We haven't seen you in ages. Don't just hide in the room." I said, "Oh, whatever." So I come out, I sit down, and it goes dead silent for about 90 seconds. And I had like I had quote social anxiety, and I felt misunderstood, Asperger's, autism, all the thing. And I'm like, just killed the vibe, and I'm like fucking triggered, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry, guys." I try to be vulnerable to try like open people up. I'm like, "Guys, I'm so sorry. I killed the vibe somehow. I don't know what it did. If you guys could help me, I'm trying to improve on this. What were you guys talking about before I came out here? Because you're talking, I come out here, dead silent. I've done something wrong here. What were you guys talking about?" And they're like, "Oh, we're just talking about like Kim Kardashian, Kanye West and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. What are you talking about?" "We're just talking shit about them, to be honest." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So you're just gossiping about them." And they smile and like laugh and like, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. And I said, "Look, guys, I love you. And I've driven down here to see you. I want to know about your life, your relationships, your goals, what's going on in your life. I don't like to participate too much in that because what you put out is what you become and you get. So if you guys want to do that, I'm just going to go home." And that was essentially my boundary and with consequences. Do you have any examples or tips for people? Because I hear what you're saying, and I agree with everything you've said so far on this podcast. But I can hear people saying, but it's my dad, it's my mum, it's my kids, it's my partner." How does one actually have that like, I don't give a fuck type of thing? I'm just willing to walk away. I'm willing to say yes. I'm willing to say no. What would you say to speak into that and to help someone out?
Oh, look, I think at the end of the day, you got to choose your battles. Like family and groups of people, a lot of the time, surface level topics will come up because it's a form of disassociation. People don't actually want to talk about themselves. They do, but they don't.
Yeah.
And I think, I think there's a healthy level of bitching about celebrities that is okay. They're celebrities, and especially those two, that's fine. But if it's a constant theme and it's that energy hygiene, if you're constantly around people that's the vibe. Like my friendship groups, we're a roasting friendship group. Like my friends, we have a healthy level of roasting, and it keeps me grounded. It keeps me real, and it reminds me who I am. I could be doing interviews with whoever, and then my two besties will just keep me real.
Humble you.
I think it's important. You've got to have, and my husband and my family keep me real. They're equal parts biggest cheerleader, but also like just calm down. My mum always taught me we all shit and we all die. That's probably where the whole dying thing came from. Yeah, but like everyone's got a bum hole. Like, everyone uses it the same way, and I think it's just important to come back to that, but also understand that environment again is paramount. And if you are wanting to change and grow, becoming aware of what you're absorbing is really important. And plugging yourself, it doesn't mean you have to not be around family. It just means you get really good at tuning out and having boundaries around how you do spend time with them. And then the people that you spend majority of your time with need to be the type of people that call you to the standard that you want to operate from. So, they always say be the dumbest person in the room. Not always the case, but be in a room that speaks your language. Be in a room that speaks your energetic language too.
Yeah. When you're with like the most aligned humans, like maybe you're five, and I want like the super neurospicy version of this answer. What's like the things you guys just love chatting about? Like you can pitch and catch, you're like so zoned in, you're so like alien, whatever you want. You can talk about whatever. Sex, buttholes, as you just mentioned. What is it that you just like, you love it? You just can't stop talking about it.
I don't think I could actually put my finger on one topic, because when I'm with my people, if someone was watching from the outside, they'd be like, what the fuck are they talking about? Especially when you're with, like, a lot of my people have ADHD. So the conversation is like a pinball machine, like, and we all end up going, what are we talking about? Doesn't matter. And we start a new train of thought. And then we generally will circle back. Like if you saw Shani and I talking together, it doesn't make any sense. You remember the Muppets and the aliens from the Muppets? It's like that, but it's intellectually energetic. Or energetically intellectual. That's the one I meant. There's my dyslexia for you. It's a vibe. It's not. I mean, half the time I would leave seeing my friends, and I'm like, I don't know what we spoke about. Yeah, but it was good.
Well, remind me of Daniel that I mentioned earlier. It's like we catch whenever we catch up, we open 15 tabs and close none of them. We don't
Yeah.
finish any. We don't
No,
finish any.
no.
But it's a good
Hey,
time. The energy is good.
yeah.
We haven't spoken about any of this stuff yet. Oh, tiny bit. You've like seeded a little bit. Just how business and the nervous system and embodiment work comes into business. Because for me, it's like it's skills or it's you. They're the two things. It's like Tony Robbins puts it like 20% skills, 80% psychology, or you could say embodiment, you, the human, the meat suit. So how does that play out for you with your own business, your clients? Because I've heard terms and maybe you resonate. It's like your nervous system doesn't have the capacity to hold that much money or that much people or that much leadership or that much stress. So how does that play out in your business and for the clients that you work with?
Yeah, so you mean mentoring students?
Potentially, yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
So firstly, I think there's a lot of people, especially online now, talking about, expanding your capacity to hold and nervous system, and they're very hypnotic words. But a lot of people are like, what do you fucking mean?
That's how my mind works. That's why I'm interested in your answer because
Yeah.
I can't not tear down, but I'll listen to like I call it mental masturbation. It's like I'll use and I love Peter Crone, but he does for some of his words. He'll be like, you need to liberate your soul's unconscious blocks to give rise to the fullest expression of your
Yeah, and you're
soul's.
like,
I'm like, that
it's
sounds good.
really
Oh my
hypnotic.
god, I'm so
You're like,
inspired. What
how?
the fuck do you do?
Yeah,
What's next? Tell me the
yeah,
next step of how I action that. That's how my sort of
yeah.
teachings play out.
Same.
So
My brain works. Yeah, it's funny. My first book that I published is called Love Yourself First,
yeah,
because a man is a partner, not a plan. It was a relationship book, and I wrote it as a guide, like a step-by-step guide on how to actually love yourself first, because it sounded good on a t-shirt, but nobody actually knew how to freaking do it. So the same with business. I think before you can focus on expanding your business, you need to expand yourself. And what expanding means is, where's your crash out point? Like if you're carrying groceries and you're trying to get the key in the door, like, do you lose your shit? Like, how quickly do you get overstimulated? Because it's that little window of how quick you can go from cool, calm, collected in the body, present, to overwhelmed and frustrated. Because how we do anything is how we do everything, and that's what expanding your capacity means. So it's in the day to day moments. So for me, the other day, it was like 40 degrees here in Perth. We have a farmhouse, and I was trying to lock up the gate, and I was hot. I couldn't get the key in the gate, and I actually had a moment where past me would have been like lost her shit, like would have just driven the car through the gate and been like, hulked out. I used to literally reference that, like I would have a Hulk version of me that just would so quickly overstimulate, and that's because I modeled parents who had a very like small window of tolerance, anger issues. But through breath work and through, daily practice, and this is the thing, most people are not willing to do the things that actually change who they are, because that requires change, and change is uncomfortable. But it's habit stacking, and it's noticing in the moments and giving yourself kudos in the moment and going, wow, all right, I didn't just lose my shit then, which means I've increased my capacity. Like, I think we keep looking for these big wins, and we're trying to make everything triumphant and spectacular, but it doesn't have to be. The evidence is in the little moments, and you just keep building on those little moments, and then you've become a different person, one that can hold differently. Every day I don't lose my shit at my husband. I give myself
love. And then how does that then translate to business? I'm assuming it's going to be along the lines of you can handle more problems, more
Yeah, so if I
projects, risk
use
tolerance, and stuff like that.
Yeah, correct. So if I'm to use the gate analogy to business, so I run majority of my trainings online now. Majority of my business, the facialist business, is online. I still have FaceHub, my salon. I'm in salon like 2 days a week now. But essentially, the online business comes with, people buying stuff online, putting in their email addresses wrong, not reading copy. Like, I go to so much lengths to create a landing page, and they'll still DM me going, does it include this? And it's like, just read the fucking landing page. But they don't, right? So, because people don't, they're just lazy. They just want proximity. They're just like, oh, I'll just ask Joni. So it's boundaries, like outsourcing, but also just choosing not to make it personal. And so my business has become the gate analogy, where daily I'm having people pop into my DMs asking me dumb shit. And or to them it's not dumb shit, but to me it is, because it's like thousands of them at once. So
Yeah.
I just either outsource or choose to respond from a non-emotional place, and also respect that they probably didn't think it was dumb shit, you know. Maybe to them it's legitimate. And that's how you expand your capacity, because if I can't handle that feedback, because there's a polarity as well, like as much support, growth and adulation I get from my community, I get equally in pushback and, you know, stretch in that regard. Stretch isn't always like cheerleading, it comes in the form of, you know, hate sometimes. And yeah, so I think the gate analogy was probably a good one. The quicker you can arrive at a place where you don't lose your shit, the quicker you can expand your capacity to receive more. And every level is going to require you to go to the gate and try and unlock it.
Yeah. And I like the hardest thing you've been through is the hardest thing you've been through. So it's like the more levels you go to. Hormozy uses the video game analogy a lot. It's like you get to a certain level, and it's like you can't beat that boss. It's like you could start all over, go play a different game, but you'll just get to the same level until you beat that boss, until you learn the skill, until you reach, increase your capacity, your nervous system, your leadership, your emotional intelligence, whatever the sort of key is for that lock, until you go to the next one. So perfect. I've got a couple.
Too, I always
Also,
say to
you go.
myself, it's like it's not it's not linear. Like there's no time frame around this. It's everyone's individual and everyone's set point with their nervous system is different. So yeah, you get to choose each moment what meaning you assign things and how quickly you want to expand your capacity.
I've got a couple of quick ones so we can get some juicy value at the end. Some practical tips someone can do today to look after their nervous system, increase their capacity, love themselves more, nurture themselves more. Maybe some things you do on a daily, weekly basis. I'll throw some things out there like maybe meditation, journaling, breath work, stillness, good boundaries, auditing your circle, knowing your mission, your values. What are some things that you do or you'd recommend to actually put a lot of this stuff into practice?
Yeah, this is a great question. I'm actually running this in my online group at the moment with the Year of the
Awesome.
Fire Horse kicking off 17th of Feb, I think. The first thing I do this probably every 3 months, is I take inventory. So I do get into the head. It's important, it has a place. Take inventory on where I'm putting my energy, where I'm spending my time, how many things I'm trying to do. Because I think if we're trying to achieve too many things, we're actually going to sabotage our ability to expand it all, because you're going to want to retract. You know, we can only develop so many synapses around new things. And I think that's also a strategy sometimes for overwhelm and sabotage, like taking on too many things. And then it was like, oh, I just had too many things going on. It's like, yeah, you chose that.
Yeah.
So I take inventory on what's going on for me and just cull some things down. I also take inventory on my environments, you know, what I'm putting in my body. There's so many things that contribute to how we feel and how we show up. I also run, especially for women, I run my business based on my cycle.
Love
And
that.
I only started doing this when I started going through fertility. So back 5, 6 years ago now, and actually learnt it from Shani. So, and that helped me with the embodiment piece as well, because I was finding I was pushing myself to show up, especially like in my luteal phase when all I wanted to do was like throat punch someone and sleep. I couldn't hold those spaces. So I know now, like, I don't do interviews in that time because I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. I don't have my salon open during that week. Literally, I just do not work because it's going to impact my treatment. So that's something I do, which I highly recommend if people have the flexibility to do it. I appreciate not everyone does. So the other thing that has been the biggest gift for me has been breath work. I now do breath work unconsciously, like, and I completely understand now why my mum used to hold her breath and count to 10 with us kids. It makes total sense. Breath holds are powerful. Chris taught me that. But yeah, I would say breath work is medicine. It's been a game changer for me and my clients and my family. I do some of the woo-woo stuff, like I'll do some sound healings if they pop up, but they're not religious. Movement, like exercise is a non-negotiable. Movement is like lifting heavy for me is what works, especially for women. You know, I'm in my 40s now, so women and their hormones lifting heavy. But yeah, that's what I would say. If you want a nervous system of someone that's achieving and successful, whatever that looks like for you, you have to take inventory of the nervous system you're operating from. So if you're sleeping in and checking your phone first thing, like, is that the version of you that's got successful, you know, that has what you want? And I think this is where you've got to like see it as done. Like, who is she? How does she show up? What does she do? And then make the uncomfortable choices to do differently. Like, we've got to do what we've never done to get what we've never had. So yeah, just and habit stack it. Don't try and do everything at once. Like, don't wake up and be like, today's the day I breath work and do a colonic irrigation and, like, you know, all the things.
This has been an incredible conversation. I've really loved it. Heaps of alignment. I thought that was the case before we jumped in. So loved it. Loved it. Loved it. I've got a final question for you. It's your last 60 seconds on Earth, and you've got one message to leave for the world. What is it?
Fuck it, you're going to die one day. Do the thing. Have fun. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Yeah.
Wow. Joanie, this has been amazing. So much value here, so many nuggets. I listen back to my podcast because I like to hear the value, see how I can be a better interviewer. And there's just so many nuggets here. So I really appreciate your value, your wisdom, your knowledge. If anyone would love to connect with you, do some work with you, even get trained by you, where's the best place they can find you?
Either socials, so on Instagram, Jonie_the facelift facialist, or my website, just the facelift facialist.
Love it. I'll have all the details below as well for people to find it. So click the details, captions down below. Joanie, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate our conversation today.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.